Hey friends, how are ya? Welcome back to another episode of The Precipice of Delusion. Happy Monday. Wow, happy June. The summer is here. The heat is happening. It is hot out here in Brooklyn. It's pretty much like 80 degrees every day from here on out. These are like the nicest couple weeks in New York for sure. These couple weeks and then a couple weeks in fall as well. It's just beautiful. And then it gets just painstakingly hot, and nobody can stand it, and everybody's complaining and sweating on each other, which is fun. Guys, I got a lot of things going on right now. I'm in the process of a move. I got a lot of personal stuff going on in my world. Won't get into too much of that, but where's time going? What's happening? It's June of 2024. I remember when I was I must have been 11. I remember 1997 being a date that I used to write on my heading of my like classroom paper. You know how you'd write like your name and then the date and then like the subject, social studies or whatever it was. 1997 always sticks in my mind as like that date being written on those headings. I don't know why. Um, I don't know what's significant about 1997, but it's just crazy. It's 27 years since then, since I was a kid. I'm 38 this month, and that is something that I'm reconciling with. I'm totally happy to be aging, have no qualms about getting older whatsoever. Really looking forward to my salt and peps in my hair. I wish I could grow a beard. That would be cool, but that's that Ecuadorian situation I got going for me. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but yeah, where does the time go? God damn, I can't believe that I'm like edging 40. It's just so bizarre, like to think about my life and to think about what I've done and to reflect back on all of the decisions, good and bad, the relationships that I've had, the people that I have created communities with. Wonderful uh, it's a really wonderful kind of story, to read back and to look through the pages of and to kind of flip through that old book and remember, reminisce on the old days. I was a crazy kid growing up, and I'm not so crazy anymore. I'm crazy in a lot of different ways, crazy in ways that I wish I wasn't, honestly, in that I'm, just so like crazy about what I'm doing, crazy about trying to like make this thing work. Um, thing meaning life, career, professionalism, pursuit, my goals. I got a lot of goals and I decided to do something real hard with my life and I'm grateful for that. But yeah, it is crazy to be at this point, I was crazy back in the day because I was drinking all the time and I was partying and I was being a maniac. I didn't have any real responsibilities and I was just like letting loose, man. Boy, did I let loose. I don't know anybody who let loose harder than me. Uh, it was a great time. And I'm thankful that that part of my life is out of the way because I don't drink anymore. I don't party really anymore. I'm down to party. I'm down to go to a party and dance and have a good time. But at a certain point, it's just like not my vibe anymore. Is that growing up? Is that getting older? Probably, you know? I think all the young kids these days who go out and take shots, everybody, just have a different, they're just in a different phase of their life, one that I was in strongly when I was their age. And so, yeah, I don't blame anybody, and I'm happy, to be where I'm at. But there are a lot of difficult transitions that continue to happen, and adulting is tough. Um, trying to make ends meet, trying to support yourself, trying to figure out where you're going to live, how you're going to eat, what you're going to do, what are you going to make of yourself. This creative venture is hard to quantify the success ratings of. And so trying to figure out, where where the next check comes from is always kind of a crazy thing to think about. And I'm lucky because I don't have to live paycheck to paycheck by any means, but still, I don't know when the next thing's going to come. And that's living on the wild side, my friends. Listen, if you are here for the first time, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for you who have continued to support this podcast and tune in every single week. I love you guys so much. If you're here because you're listening to Anastasia Baranova, you have come to the right place, my friends. Anastasia is a living legend. She is a star in all of its defining attributes. She possesses and kind of like transcends what it means to be a star and a person in this world that is an entertainer and an actor and someone who like fosters this like real love and joy and ability to deliver on the craft that she has been practicing for 20 years. No, longer than 20 years. Yeah, 2002, I think she started on Lizzie McGuire. Um, she went on to go do a handful of other projects, but I met her on a show called Z Nation back in, I think, 2015, 2014, 15, 10 years ago or so. And we get into it on the show, but she really changed my whole perception of how I looked at myself and how I empowered the artist in me to go and keep reaching. She's a beautiful person. She has an incredible career. She has an incredible career ahead of her. And I'm just really grateful to have had the chance to talk to her. She's a really wonderful person. And we got to catch up after all these years. And it was just amazing. I love this podcast and being able to do this. It really makes me happy. And so, yeah, if you're here for her, strap up. We have a good time. We get some laughs in. We get some cries in. I love when I cry on the podcast. It's such a beautiful thing. I didn't know if this was going to be like a funny thing or like a take itself too seriously thing, or I didn't know what I didn't know what the kind of tone of this show is going to be, and it hasn't really had one. It's just been different with every guest, and I love that because I'm just adapting to the authentic nature of who I'm with in that moment, and we're capturing this time and space in June of 2024. All these years later, guys, we are making our way downtown. Fast, yeah, thanks for being here. I love you guys so much. I can't wait to keep these wheels turning. If you want to go check out all of our things, subscribe, go check out our Patreon page. It'll help me out huge. It's at patreon.com/the precipice of delusion. You can get some exclusive content there. I'm in the process of moving pretty soon here, so I'm going to be batching episodes and I'm going to be putting up Patreon content. But yeah, I want to give you guys what you deserve. So go check out the Patreon page. Got a lot of cool stuff coming. And support me. I need your help. But without further ado, my friends, let me introduce to you the one and the only Anastasia Baranova. Anastasia, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving me your time and taking a little bit of time out of your busy morning to come and chat with me about all of the trials and tribulations of this life we live.
Because the many trials, the many tribulations.
God knows we're in the middle of it. I wanted to kind of start this whole thing off by talking about a memory I have of you, if you don't mind. And
please, oh my gosh,
asking you about it afterwards.
Sure.
So for all the listeners who aren't aware, I met you about 10 years ago on the show Z Nation, which is a sci-fi show that you were like a regular character on, a series regular on. And I came on as one of my like first jobs I had ever had as an
Yeah.
actor. And I was super new and I was super
Back up.
excited. Oh,
You're soft. I need you sharp for
yeah.
this. There it
Got
is.
me sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Got me better.
I need you sharp. I need you sharp.
All right,
Okay.
cool. Thank you for
You
making
come
sure I'm
on one of
sharp.
your first gigs. You're super
Yeah,
excited.
one of my first gigs. I'm super excited. I'm also super nervous because I just, it's a first gig and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. This is, and it's also like a show. It was pretty early on. It was in the first season, so I think like you guys were pretty new to it all too. And I also had some friends from like the Seattle world who were on that show, so there was like this kind of like inherent comfortability with that because I like knew some of those people. Uh, but really quickly, it became uh, like it became known for me that like my friends that I knew were like really focused and like really trying to like make sure that they were doing like their best job in this show, and like I wasn't really able to like befriend them and do what I wanted to do and just have these casual conversations with them. And you were just like this huge ball of energy that was just so loving and gracious and kind, and like immediately like you were talking to me, you were like coming and connecting with like us. I'm like a guest star on like one episode here, and I just remember you being so gracious with your time and so sweet to the extent of like once we finished the day, you like made sure to get my information and then to like invite me to come and hang out and like spend time with like you and the cast. And I was like, at this point, I felt so kind of like, duh, like, of course I would be. But in retrospect, now when I kind of reflect on this, it's like you definitely didn't need to do that. And I think because maybe you had been doing this for such a long time prior to this, you kind of know like what your etiquette is on a set and what your responsibility is as like a lead of a show and, like top person on a call sheet. And it made me feel so comfortable immediately in a very uncomfortable environment. And I thought going in that like my people that I knew would do that for me. And it wasn't that at all. In fact, you brought me into the fold. We went out, we had some drinks. I remember we like laughed about like remember my wallet that was like 14 inches wide. And we were like laughing about how many cards I had. And like, and you made me feel like I was an equal in that situation. So much so that after the whole thing was over and I had gone back to New York and I was, not working anymore and I was kind of like, I don't know what's going on. I reached back out to you and we had a conversation where I think I was just asking you for like some career advice. And you told me, you were like, listen, dude, like you're a star. And I remember being like, no, like, come on. Like, I don't, I don't really care. You're like, do you want to be a star? And I remember saying like, that whole narrative of like, I don't really care to be famous, but like I just like want to be working. And you were like, no, motherfucker. Like you are a star and you're allowed to say that you want to be a star and you should believe in that. And I was like, whoa, like you're right. And I remember like that it stuck with me forever. And not that I am by any means, but like that belief, that like intrinsic belief in myself was kind of like pushed upon me by you in that moment, from that moment that I met you on set and throughout. And it's been kind of sad to like lose touch with you for all these years because it was such a like it was such a boost of confidence and like self-esteem for me as an actor in the very beginning of my career. And firstly, I want to thank you for like giving me that in the beginning of this to like stay moving forward. But secondly, like I'm really curious how you had the wherewithal to even be that person in that time. Like, where does that come from for you? And how did you like develop that sense of it for yourself throughout all of these experiences that you've had? I don't even know if you remember it, but it stuck with me, and it's always been something that's been like really near and dear to my heart, and something that I've like always admired you a lot from afar. um, and kind of just always like looked up to you as like you're like a little bit of a hero of mine because of that. So yeah, thank you. But also, like, where does that come from?
Man, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for sharing that. Um, that is a really, really kind thing to remember and to reflect back. Um, it's funny while you were talking, while you were recalling the front half of it, where you were like, "Yeah, I was just there," and then you were like, talking to me, and I'm like, "Yeah, because you're a star. What do you?" No, there's the long and short answer is people were that way with me,
Mm,
right? Someone had modeled that behavior on that set in particular. Kalita Smith. Kalita led us in
cool.
such a tremendous way, and like just the way that I watched her be with people. She knows the Grips kid's name that was just born. Like she's getting the baby a present that's appropriate to their age because she knows when that human came into existence. Like this lady was aware, and she would talk about how Bernie Mac taught her, right? Because she played his wife on the Bernie Mac show, and the way that like Bernie would lead a set. One of my first scenes on Z Nation with Harold Perneau, we get there, I'm same, just like, what's happening? Da, da, da.
Mhm.
We start a scene. We get out of the car, and we're like going to go scope out this little area. Harold turns to me, looks me in the eye, and like maybe says a line, maybe just looks at me to make sure that me, the character, is on. He just like brought me into the experience with one look. And
Wow.
I just remember being like, oh shit, we gotta look alive.
Yeah.
What is this happening? We're doing acting now. Like,
Yeah.
he I, so literally, so I think you came on episode 6. This was episode 1. I'm
Yeah.
hot and fresh passing these lessons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just monkey see, monkey do. But um, there's even moments from earlier before where, yeah, I think I've just gotten very, very lucky with being on set with some people who um, modeled and really exemplified what it means to be in that position. And like you said, the responsibility that comes with it. And
Hmm.
that's really, I think that's the kicker, because there's hierarchy on set. There's hierarchy in the world, right? And it's bullshit. And there's hierarchy on set, and it's bullshit, but it's just reality. And to me, this idea that, again, there's like etiquette and there's decorum and there's understanding that people have work in business, and it's not about making it about yourself. And God knows I've been on sets and just ego made it about myself, talking about God knows what, just because, I'm freaking out. But the point
Hmm.
is, there's hierarchy. And the more that from the center and the nucleus, the people that are looked up to set the tone, there's some real trickle down economics, you know what I mean? That like
Totally. But
have
you
a
didn't like.
really,
But the thing is that like is that that's a choice that you have to make, and you don't all, and not everybody makes that choice.
not everybody makes that. I'll say something else. I remember reading, for what it's worth, I remember reading an article with Angelina Jolie when she talked about how she used to, when she would have like a big emotional scene,
Hmm.
she'd like go in the trailer and like do her thing and try to get in thing, and then she'd get to set, and would a lot of her energy would go towards, oh hey, sorry, I'm about to go do some weird shit, like sorry, you know what I mean? And she would kind of lose her steam. So what she would start to do is from the beginning. And like I've heard this all the time. You get to set with her and she's like, "Hi, I'm Angie." And you're like, "Yeah, I know." Sure you are. Um okay. But that's so she was like, I started to invest the time earlier on to make the environment really comfortable so that on the day I go to my trailer, I get ready, I come on set, everybody it's already comfortable. I don't
Right.
need to go through the song and dance of like, hey, sorry, I'm going to go do my thing. And so I think that was like, I don't know, I very early on I remember reading that article and just being like, if Angelina Jolie is coming to places and making people feel comfortable and like that's a so it just yeah, I don't know, not that inherently I have any sort of need to oppress anyone or belittle anyone to, you know what I mean, to make myself feel better, like that absolutely in life doesn't make sense to me as a thing, but particularly in that environment, like if this lady is out here just shaking hands and like making sure that everyone is good, then there's certainly no other way for anybody else to be. So yeah,
I
man.
think
Oh,
it,
I'm so glad because yeah, I basically have just had similar moments that like just kind of like one conversation like that will, boy, oh, that'll keep you going for a while. A little bit of
for
affirmation
sure.
when you're like, yeah, huh? I got this. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, like you even took it a step further, and like, I remember you like, I even had a time hop come up from like 9 years ago where you like posted about me, or like, a star is born tonight on like episode 6 of Z Nation, and I was just like, you didn't need to do that. Like,
Facts are facts, man.
I understand where you're coming from in saying that like like you're kind of recycling these like experiences that you're having yourself and kind of putting that back out into the world because that's real, but it wasn't a manufactured thing. Like you were just genuinely championing me, specifically like me. I was just like,
Yeah.
this is so like, and I remember being like, I must have done so good. Like, and it was like, maybe I did, but like also like I think it went farther than that. Like, I think there's something about like actors, despite what level you're at, in recognizing like in like the effect they have on people that they're working with. Like, especially when you're one of the people on the show that's a regular person on the show, and you have these co-stars, guest stars coming in, they're like, oh wow, like, I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to. And so like, no, I've been in, audition rooms. I went into an audition room with Tom Hanks once, and I remember him being like, very much like, it made sense to me really quick that he knew the effect he had on people, and he made it really comfortable for me really quick, like to make it just like humanize himself and to like kind of make a joke about himself, and to like, he was like wearing a hat and being silly and kind of just like, he took it upon himself to just be like this pro in this moment because he's obviously aware that like a kid coming into an audition room seeing him is going to be like they're not going to do their best work, like they're just not, if they feel that like super nerve. And again, he doesn't have to do that, but it sets it apart, and you demonstrated that, I think, like probably more than any other person I've ever had an experience like that with. And it was very early on, and it influenced me in a way to do what you have then done, for yourself, to be back to me, back to other people as well. And um, I just, I don't know, like, where does that confidence come for yourself? Like, how do you get that? Because that whole conversation later, when I came back and you were like, don't belittle your own desire to be a star, like by saying like, oh, I don't need to be that. Like, I just want to be a working actor. Like, shut up, dude. Like, be a star, manifest that shit. Like, be that thing. Is that what you want? I'm like, well, yeah, I guess. Well, then fucking be it, dude. Like, just do it. That's what you were saying to me. And I was just like, oh, you're right. Like, I guess that's, how else do you do it? You at least have to be delusional enough to believe you can, right? So like, it really stuck with me, and truly, like, truly, and I don't say this just because you're here in front of me, like, kept me going in like, because post that show, I had done some stuff before moving to New York, and then I moved back. I moved out to New York, and I actually like booked that show from New York, moved, came back to Seattle or Spokane, wherever we shot it, did it, and then came back. And like when I came back, like 2015 through like how many years after that, I was not well. Like I was like full blown alcoholic, full, without even knowing. Like just like, sticking my freaking wang into anything I could, like just being a fucking idiot, doing all of like just filling voids essentially, because I was like, I'm an actor, like I have done something, something's supposed to like, now I represent something for myself. My identity is rooted in like something real. Like I'm a part of a union. Like I have money in the bank from this thing. But all of a sudden it was just like, but that's not happening for you anymore. And your voice and conversation like stuck with me for like still like throughout those years, and was like, you can't stop because you have to believe that what she said was true. And I may have, who knows, if we didn't have those conversations. But I'm mostly curious, like where did that come from for you? How did you have the wherewithal to like not only know to say that to me, but to like, because if you're saying it to me, you must believe it for yourself, right? You must have like that, whether it's delusion or not. Like, how did that come for you? Like, how did you find that? How did you tap into that for yourself, like early on, or when did that come, or was it real, or what?
Think a little a three-parter. One, I know a star when I see one. So speaking to why, because I remember the other people who were in your specific episode.
Mm,
Um, there's something to it. I don't know if you've been in acting classes. There are people who are passionate, driven. They want it. They don't got it. I don't know why. I don't have the answers. I don't know. Meryl Streep always talks about how she's like, I don't know how they teach acting. I don't know. Like,
right.
it is a craft. There are skills. You can learn things. It comes together. You do the thing. But like, I know a star when I see one. Save the Last Dance, Kerry Washington,
Mm,
and go down the line. Uh, I don't know, Benjamin Bratt, so and so, friends of mine. That like, I've never been wrong. Like, it's if I see somebody, I go,
mm,
that's somebody. It can take 5, 10, 15, 20, however many years. But a star is a star is a star. And
mm,
there's something about it. I was just talking with a girlfriend of mine. Do you know Doctor Who, that TV show?
mm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the new Doctor is this guy in Ncuti Gatwa, and he was on sex education and a few other things. And I watched like a little bit of it, but from his literal first frame, like he has yet to do anything,
Mm,
just existing. It's all in the eyes, man. It's all in the eyes. And there's so much life in that human being. And there's a lot of life in all of us. But he then also has this element that allows him to reveal it and show it and perform, like, and let people in on his inherent magic. And that's why he's the doctor.
mm,
It's the hardest gig to get, and the whole town and all it's the most complicated character. It's the most responsibility. And he just instantly go, yeah, that's
yeah.
him. A star is a star is a star. I don't know what it is. I don't. It just is. I'll also never forget being in acting class, and my teacher at the time, Jeff Kober, a star is a star, teaching, working, cross paths with him at a convention one day because he had done a whole big thing on Walking Dead. I'm there for Z Nation. We got to have a cool little moment.
Mm,
Never forget it. He one day was talking about how the best actor he knows is working at a coffee shop in Seattle, you know. And I was like, mm, mm. Noted
mm,
as well. Right? There's just like, I don't know. There's something about it. It is what it is, and it doesn't always by any means mean that something big, significant, da 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 da, comes from it. But I don't know. I'm sure you have people in your life who maybe they're not performers, maybe they're not pursuing acting, whatever, but you go like, that person. It's the person who lights up a room. It's the person who da 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 da, right? It's like whatever it is, I don't know. There's just something. And it's so funny. Also, while you were talking, I just go, look at young Matt Damon. Just look at him. Just look at him here. Like, I don't know, right? And that's not just, oh, maybe you look like him. Like, there's just, you got something. You got it, kid. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And again, how it all plays out, God only knows, right? Like that there's very little control over it, but um that's on you.
Right.
So whatever. I can see it. And I tend, like I said, I tend to not be wrong. Um and the fact that here you are, you are going through it as a person, but you've been active this whole time. You're in short films, you're in this, you're working on that. There's this project here, there's this project here, now here's this podcast. Like,
Mm.
you've been
Yeah, for sure.
doing your thing and like forging your path, and there is no two that are the same. But here you are 10 years later, like you haven't packed up shop. So by my definition, I'm still like, I'm still right.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? um so that's on that. Where and how that comes from, I think all is sort of a twofold thing. um I it's what's incredible about this. Why I was so eager to have this conversation with you when you mentioned what it was sort of about. Um, I have spent, I don't know how many years and hours thinking about this. Right, I started acting in 2002. That's my first credit.
Shout out Lizzie
I haven't had
McGuire.
a hello. Shout out Lizzie. This is what dreams are made of. Um, and like, I was literally journaling this morning. I was doing my morning pages and sort of tracking this idea about, well, what is joy, or what is happiness, or and am I even striving to be that? Because I'm kind of in a moment where I'm like, seasonal depression, regular depression, ADHD, haven't eaten protein in a while. Like, what's, we're sad panda. Why are we sad panda? We're having this aspect of our life. Oh, well, haven't worked in quite some time. Having this and this and that. And I've gotten much better at it. But the times of not working, worth noting. Keira Knightley's parents, actors, remember reading an article with her a long time ago where she was talking about dealing with the insanity of her success, and how she was like, yeah, my parents were actors, but what I got from them was sometimes you work and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of going like, oh, okay, we're bending it like Beckham and there's pirates, but I'm ready for all this to be over at any point in time. And then it didn't go away for her, right? So then she had a whole different experience. But that was another like little tidbit that stayed in my
Hmm.
mind for years and framed my whole understanding of what this bit is. What does it mean to craft a career? It means that
Right.
sometimes you work and sometimes you don't, and more often you don't. And this is where all the conversations about um, what do you do what is your life, like
Yeah.
what does it mean to be an actor, what does it mean to have success in this career, how do you define it? I always define success as I pay my bills as an actor. I don't know nothing about being on TV or on covers or things or whatever, but if I pay my bills as an actor, that has to qualify as I
Absolutely.
made it. And anything on top of that is like a super duper made it. Because also, just because you're not acting does not mean you're not an actor. And just because, and if you haven't hit your health insurance does not mean you're not an actor. Because in this industry, there are very few industries in this world. I guess now with tech, there's sort of more of this kind of happening. I guess innovation. You could always hit it rich with some big idea, and then your life could change. But for most people, most paths in life, it's not a lot of, oh, anything can positively, massively change your life, right? Winning the lottery. We literally are in an industry Where on Tuesday, you can have $4 in your checking account. On Wednesday, you could get an audition. On Friday, you could go to producers. By the following Tuesday, you're testing, and now you're signing.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
life could freaking change, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's so that so you weren't so that last Tuesday you weren't not a, you were a star last Tuesday. You
Right.
know what
Totally.
I mean?
For sure.
So all of these convoluted thoughts to kind of say like I I did well. This is something I know we talked about a long time ago. I did a personal development training in my early 20s, which completely changed my life. It was one of the greatest gifts of my existence thus far. It was a great
Nice.
awakening, right? It went from me being like, oh, I am this and life is that and it's a square. And then you go this process and you're like, just kidding. It's a hexagon. There's a lot more going on here than I thought. Whoa, super cool, right? So, and all of that is ultimately, it's a leadership based training, and leadership is a lot of things, but first and foremost, it's enrolling people in your vision, whatever your vision is, right? That's how you lead anyone anyway. You go, hey, this idea is pretty cool, right? And they're like, that is pretty cool, and now we're all doing that stuff. Everyone is a leader first and foremost in their own life. So the number one person who's got to be enrolled in yourself and in your life is you. So, and I met you fresh on the heels of that. Like I was doing that work for many like 4 years actively, going through this program. I went through it 3 times. Like I did it, then I coached it a couple of times because that's what it took for me to really like get these ideas. But then they fucking got in there, and in a way, that's the ultimate answer to your question. Like, how did I have the wherewithal to speak that life into you? Because I was just doing years and years of training, speaking that life into myself.
Mm.
Exactly like you
Wow.
said. Like I first and foremost had to believe that for me, and then develop a way of a way of being, a way of living, a way of approaching myself and life and existence, and really understanding what is important to me, right? And then, yeah, like just that belief in yourself. I'm trying to remember who, I don't know, some actor was just talking about like you do have to be a little delusional. You do
Yeah.
have to be a little delusional, like, and you do have to believe in yourself, and you do have to be like, I can do this. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's this. I'm like, I'm happy to bust my ass, but like, one person has to believe
Yeah.
for anybody else to. So, so I think that that's sort of just the answer. Is like I had was really really lucky to have found myself in a place where I was actively doing trainings developed specifically for human beings coming into the realization of their own wants, desires, powers, strengths, shortcomings, blind sides,
Yeah.
whatever, so you can continuously, you know what I mean, do that. And then for me, the big takeaway from those trainings was like, I don't want to be a trainer in the sense that I want to be like the person doing the coaching and stuff, but I want to be that in the world. I want to exist in such a way, because more than anything, trainers in transformational spaces give people permission.
Hmm.
They give people permission to feel, to hurt, to excel, to see themselves, to exist, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the big takeaway. It's like you can't. And so my goal after doing those trainings was to become a person who, in my way of being, people felt inspired, people felt connected to, people feel like they have worth and value, right? Because they do.
Yeah. Of
And
course.
so I don't know. I guess like all of these things kind of tie together.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that it comes down to, you know what I mean, like a moment that you remember, but it's
For sure.
not an accident. I had set out to live in such a way that inspired human
Yeah.
beings.
Well, it worked.
And it worked.
It worked, and it worked for you too.
It
Buying into
continues
that
to work for me.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, that's what I said. My morning pages this morning, I literally was like, hey, man, okay, so what's going on? Am I a little sad panda? Or am I just this? Or and what does it take for me to be happy? And I was just like, well, the reality is when career is up or when the dollars are up, honey, I am up. Okay? Like
Right,
it
of
just
course.
feels more better. But then I have to go, okay, if they're not, like
What then?
what then and what else is there? And then I go back and I go, okay, my relationship with myself, my relationship with the humans in my life, my my partner, my parents, my the fact that like, man, I'm gonna just keep trying. I'm gonna just not
Well,
give up. You
yeah,
know,
it's really easy. It's really easy to like buy into the narrative that you have, created for yourself in that I'm a star and I'm, going to do all of this self work to get myself to a place where I am proud of myself and I'm like I can actually carry myself through the world in a way where I can say like this is me and like you better fucking see it, motherfuckers. It is so like it's and it's honestly hard to listen to. Like sometimes I listen to a lot of actors that I really admire that are like there and they've been there, and it's like of course you can reflect on this stuff very easily because you're in it, and of course you have your own hardships, you have your own bullshit. It's not like life is all of a sudden just easy for you. I'm sure it's harder in a lot of ways, but like it is very easy to possess that confidence and to possess that like self-love when you're up. And then it's
mm-hmm,
when it all kind of like goes away, how do you sustain, how do you keep it kind of with yourself, and how do you like convince yourself that, because it almost like feels like a catch 22, like a disservice. You're like, but I'm a star. Like I told myself I was this, like this is what I had to like do so much work believing in, and then it worked. And then you have that thing work, and then when that thing stops working, it's like all this momentum like pulls off. It like just kind of falls off a cliff, and you're like, whoa, like I wasn't prepared for that part. I wasn't prepared for this to like slow down. I was only preparing for this to
mm-hmm,
like keep going.
mm-hmm,
And these are the things that we're not taught how to deal with, because it's like we're only taught how to like succeed and to keep succeeding, but not how to like really reconcile the reality that is this is like such a small amount of time that you're actually working, especially for just like a working actor. We look up to our people that we love and we're like, yeah, that can be me too, and it can be. Who's to say it won't? Like that's very real that that can be the case, but right now that's not the case for me. And so like how are you being real with yourself, and how are you managing your expectations around the circumstances that are happening in your life? Because if I still am adjusting my mindset to like I'm a star and I deserve and I should have, and this is all of a sudden when you don't have it, like you can't adapt back to that space. And that's when, for me at least, I start getting like what the fuck, like this entitlement, and it gets so gross, and it's just like yikes. Like you were on a show, you were on Z Nation for the whole run, right? Like that's how many years of your life devoted to like
fine.
being 5 years that you're like your literal identity is rooted in like I am this character, not only like for you yourself but to like the world externally to you. Like people know you, you're famous now, like you're in the public space, whatever, like you just are, right? Like you can go to a convention and people be like, oh my god, fucking sign my hammer, sign my fucking spiky thing, like Addy Carter. It's fucking crazy, and like that's because you did a wonderful job, and because you put your heart and your soul into it, and because you like found identity in that thing, and you gave it all you had. But guess what? The fucking job ends. And
Over.
it's just over. Like that. And I don't know, like you can speak to it, but like what were your expectations when that ended, and what was the reality?
You know exactly what my expectations were, okay? And you know exactly what the reality has been. Uh huh. Yeah, no, I was like, great. On to my next huge show I go. Here I am. It's finally time. Honey, I'm very grateful. Got myself a couple of guest stars. Give 'em shout out to the NCIS universe. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
A little this, a little bit of that. That was it. Which is why we find ourselves journaling this morning, talking about what do I want? I want this. I want a long running, award winning comedy. I want a long running, award winning drama. I want fun and diverse features. I, I want a lifelong career that I feel really good about. I want full body side of the building posters on Sunset Boulevard. I want
And you feel like you deserve
luxury
it. You
brand.
feel you feel like you deserve it too.
So
Partially. Maybe.
deserve is an interesting word for me because then if someone is deserving, that means somebody else isn't. Maybe and
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
I'm from Russia. I'm ESL, so
Okay.
words are and like what they mean is really specific for me,
Sure.
right? So I go deserve. I always go I'm a deserve, but what I feel, and I was sort of having this thought. I think this idea is really interesting. What is it? What does it mean to you to be a star? What does it mean to me to be a star? Right? As we've sort of discussed, to me, the idea of being a star is this person who gives, who creates, who makes, who again inspires the way that like when I'm in a real low, Arrested Development has single-handedly pulled me out of depression numerous occasions, right? Because if these bozos can figure it out, so can I, right? Comedy is powerful. Drama is powerful. You take people on a journey that they can't go on themselves. Like to me, it's yes, it's the idea of like oh, there's security. I'm able to provide for my family. I'm able to have stability. I'm able to build something where I'm not worried about this or this or this or that. I'm able to give and invest and grow things for other people. But it's really like this responsibility of being this person that people are going to actively look up to. And so rather than deserving what I feel is capable, I feel capable or I go, okay, okay, no, I got it. There are very few times in my life where like I feel like I got it. Baby, I can't read, can't count, I can't, it's a lot of stuff I can't do. Okay. But what I know I can do is I can, yes, and I can live truthfully under some imaginary circumstances. I can look like a fool. I don't even have the. I go. I guess I'm making a fool of myself. Oh, and I guess that's brave or so. You know, I don't. People can't do like. It's not even a thought. Like I can just that I can do, and I know that there is worth and value in it, and I feel capable. So that's kind of where it is for me. And also, I don't know in a way what you do in the in between time. And like I said, I was journaling this morning, like speaking that life back into myself and being like, and if it doesn't happen, like that's one of my biggest fears in life is that I don't make it as big as I envision for myself. And as I was journaling that this morning, I was like, it's time to call my therapist, Carol, and have a
Mhm.
discussion that's a little bit more lengthy here to figure out, okay, what does that mean to me? And why is that? And is that an ego conversation? And if so, what do I do about that? Or is that that's my purpose? That is what I get to do in this life. And, doggone it, I'm going to keep trying. And they got to kick me out of this town before I give up because that's where I feel that I am of most service.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, if that's where
Lots
you're of
of
most
thoughts on
service,
this.
no, I get it. I mean, I resonate with everything that you're saying. I haven't, and I haven't even been at your level, and so I can only imagine this being the magnitude of these feelings just being that much more. If that happened, and it's also something that I have to expect will happen. Every single job that I get ends. And I now know, almost 15 years into this thing, like, that it's not like the next thing's going to come and fucking boom. Even like when you were saying, like tomorrow, I might get the audition for the end of the week. I might get a booking and like get a contract, and all of a sudden I have, like 6, 7 figures in my bank account. Guess what? 6 or 7 figures is 6 or 7 figures, and that shit will just go. Like even a $1 million contract, like great, cool, like that's fucking awesome. But like, guess what? Now you don't work for 10 years. What do you do with $1 million in over 10 years? I'm sure, like, I might sound ignorant and stupid right now. Yes,
You're
invest,
not.
do all these different
No,
things. But like, come
it
on,
will. It will go. It will all come and it will
diminishing
all
returns.
go.
It's just like, yeah, it goes. And if it's
It
not
goes.
consistent, and I think this is true for the biggest actors in the world, the biggest entertainers in the world, like they get these big paydays, and then they're like, shit, well, like, and you see, like uh, John Hamm in a commercial. You're like, what the fuck is John Hamm doing in a commercial? He doesn't need to be in a commercial. It's just like, he does. And like, why else would he be doing it? Like, no shade to John Hamm, it's great, but like, and maybe he just wants to like buy a house or like pay something. Who knows? But like, I just don't think it really ever stops. And so this whole question with yourself of like, is this ego or is this not? Like, I don't. My biggest fear is like, will I be inadequate to the dreams in which I see myself living out?
Mm.
I have the same
Mm.
thing. I have the same thing constantly. Inadequacy, the fear of inadequacy. I'm not even I'm just riddled with inadequacy every day of my life. Like, I don't think I'm ever enough, and it's a real battle for me to try and get to a place of saying, yeah, you are, because you are. Like, you just have to change your attitude and believe, even if it means being delusional. And I suffer from like my own toxic uh, conscience just screaming at me constantly that you are a piece of shit. You haven't done enough. You're not doing enough. Oh, of course you didn't book that thing. Of course, why would you? You're a fucking piece of shit, dude. You're a fucking loser. Lose a couple pounds. Fucking shave that stupid thing. Take off that fucking nose ring. You're like, fucking, who do you think you are? Like, get a fucking, like, just shut up, dude. Stop trying to be. It's like, whoa, where did this come from? And at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know, crying because of me, because I'm mean to me. How the fuck did that wind up happening? I used to be so sweet and cool and easygoing and like, smoke a joint and fucking just like peace, love, and let's hang out and fucking have some beers and, fucking talk whatever. It was all easy. And farther I've gotten, and I wonder if this has happened for you. I bet it sounds like it has. It's just like you get farther into your career, and the reference for which you like have these expectations for yourself just get that much further, and you just get that much harder on yourself because when the bar is set and you go anywhere but beyond the bar, you're a loser, so to speak. I don't know if that resonates with you, but like, how do you how do you navigate that, like, that self-talk when you're having it, and like get yourself, I know you said you go to therapy, you do morning pages, you like, you have a lot of those things, but like, I guess the bigger question is like, what keeps you in it? Like, what keeps you like on your worst days saying like, I don't care, man, I gotta keep fucking pushing this rock up the hill because I have to. Mental health problems. Like, I think that's maybe for me, but I'm curious for you.
Right. Um. I just really, really want it.
Mm, yeah.
I just want it so bad.
Hmm. But you have it, and you have had it,
I know,
right?
but I want more.
because is it just like the feeling of being there and the feeling of doing it, like that
It's
high?
the only thing. It's the
Yeah, yeah, I feel that same way. But
the
doesn't that
level
scare
of
you?
alive.
Because like, now I appreciate you like being real about it, because like, because it is such a small fraction of time it's actually devoted to doing the work. So like the rest of the time you're not, and
Because
if life
the
outside of it is not okay, then
well, and I think, and this is obviously a super important point. It is twofold. Like, and I've spent a lot of time this, particularly this past year, thinking about, because I had always identified this, sort of a broader topic, but I'd always identified as an actor, a wife, and a mother before I was. I don't have children and I'm not married, right? But it was like my idea of who I ultimately was, right? Was like, I'm an
mhm,
actor and I'm in this relationship and it's me and my person and it's us, not against the world, but like it's us for the world. And I have kids and I'm a matriarch and all of that. And as I got deeper into my 30s and I was not on more hit shows and I didn't have this and I don't have kids and I did it right. Like for this last couple of years, I've had a lot of like, what just happened? Because we were just 25 and now we're 34, and I thought a lot of things were going to be happening, and they're not.
mhm,
And who I thought I would be, I am maybe not. And what is my worth and value, and so on and so forth, right? So I've had all sorts of conversations and thoughts about that. Um, and how, if I'm not an actor, I don't know. I got nothing. I'm a person. I'm very grounded in that I am a human on planet Earth. And life has value and it's brief and we're here and something's happening and I'm participating in it and that's cool, right? And I'm going to just do my best to create a world of love, abundance and freedom for human beings because that's what I'm committed to. Cool. And I know art is important and I know love is important, and I this conversation affirms literally all of it. That literally me existing on this planet has worth and value because I can have a brief conversation with somebody where I speak a little life and a little love into them, which pours out of me anyway, and it impacts them in such a way that they carry on, and the people that you have, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that in and of
absolutely,
itself, I go, that fucking matters, man. That matters.
definitely.
One person feels seen or loved because of me, done. A plus. I'm in heaven, whatever that means.
Mhm.
That's a life worth lived, right? I'm deeply passionate about life. There's like this quote. There's this clip of Bowie where they ask him if like he has any religion or any like anything that he really, you know, what does he believe in? And he's like, life. Like that's my religion is life, man. Like that's just fucking being alive, right? So I'm excited about this plant. I'm excited about this dog. I'm excited about you. I'm excited about, you know what? I do have something to plug. I'm going to go ahead and plug my friend Elua Arthur's book called
Nice.
Briefly Perfectly Human. She's a death doula, and she
Oh
has a
wow.
perspective on life that is really fucking amazing because she
Wow.
works with people at the end of theirs.
Wow, cool.
So what I tell you, she gets some hot tips,
I bet.
some insider looks, right, from
Cool.
like when life gets really real. Go ahead and purchase this book
Yeah, that's
because
cool.
while people think that her work is about death, it's obviously about life, right? Because when you think about your death, you are able to make your life that much more meaningful and
Yeah,
so on and so
totally.
forth. Just right here. And we are briefly perfectly human, right? So,
Yep.
in the scope of my life, I'm passionate about being alive, about human beings, about making this world a better place. And so, my life has a lot of purpose and meaning
Hmm.
outside of what I produce. Because,
Yeah.
baby, capitalism, it's in your mind, man, and it's got its hooks on you and you got
Yeah.
to be productive, and you got to be 30 under 30, and you got to be 40 over 40, and you got like, and that shit is not true. And that is not how our bodies are conditioned. And that is not what makes a purposeful and meaningful life.
Right.
And dreams fucking keep you going, man. And dreams have impact, and so on and so forth. So it's sort of a combination of all of that. I think I've gotten sidetracked. Well, so what keeps me going, man? There is outside of being in love, being at Burning Man, and being inside a transformational training. Like being on set is when I am the most alive. Now, in each of those, sort of the through line in each of those scenarios, right? When you're deeply in love, when you're at Birdie Man, or when you're in a transformational training, like life is happening, shit
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
real. Like it's you're that's what it's all about, right? Like that's the peak of it. You're so in the moment, and yeah, being on set, doing acting of any just I always say I'm just happy to be on set. I'm just happy to be on set.
Yeah.
Just being here, being on a team, a bunch of people getting together to work together to make something that they're excited about, and everyone's trying to, like that. It's just the thing greatest and the most purposeful and alive that I feel. And so I think I just can't let it. I can't let it go.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's interesting because I I'm coming up on a year of being in a relationship that's like completely changed my life. And
Nice.
praise God, praise literal actual God.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because what's available in that kind of partnership, where like you're just happy to exist around a human, like you're just doing your thing, they're doing their thing, and you're like, I'm at a 10 because they're here. Ah,
Mm.
you kind of go, huh, we just went to Thailand. I'm going, I don't have a lot of money, but I got a couple of dollars. Bitch, do we just go live in Thailand and sit coconuts on a beach?
Yeah.
That's the other thing in life, right? It's two goals in life. It's to find your person and to do your thing, and to achieve these dreams of, in your art. Really big dream. I could spend a lot of time eating mangoes with this dude on the beach.
Yeah.
And for the first time, literally since the year 2000, when we moved to California, I was like, do I not need to be in LA? Like, do I go? And for a fraction of a second, I'd considered it. And the way my stomach sank, the like despair that washed over me, the sense of betrayal that I
Mm.
felt towards 5-year-old baby Anastasia, who watched The Bodyguard and was like, Whitney Houston, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Or Pretty Woman, welcome to Hollywood. What's your dream? That. Something crystallized for me where I was like, oh, okay, got it, got it, got it. It's both, man. I can't. Just not yet. I have found something now that is almost that I would say, oh, it's better. Because at any point in time, you ask me where do I want to be? Well, with my boo or on set. Ideally, on set, going home to my boo. Like that's the bit.
Hmm.
I can't. It's been incredible. Like I can't give it up, and I don't know, and I don't know. And maybe one day that feeling will go away, and then maybe I'll be like, okay, I'm cool. I did enough here. I feel good about this. Let's go do our thing. Not yet. Oh no.
Yeah.
Delulu is this the
Yeah.
Lulu, baby?
I mean, the interesting thing is that what, and something that I have yet to discover for myself is that because I'm in that space too, where I'm a lot of those ideas are coming up, where like, could I leave? Could I just like get away from all of this stuff? And also, would that possibly make me better at this stuff? Because that's on my mind too. It's just like maybe if I'm not so like addicted to winning in this rat race, and I really pull back and kind of find like my gratitude in a real way for me and find myself in a space that really feels comfortable and really feels loving to me, will my work get better? And will I like be less desperate to have that? I think the answer is probably yes, at least for me.
I
I'm
would
too
guess so.
afraid because it's just like, well, but also the shadow cast from that decision is like, if you leave, like, then you're not like immediately available to the thing that might and may not happen and this. And so those are the things that like, have prevented me from going on vacations with my family and like prevented me from being present at weddings for like 10 years, because I've been like, I just don't think I can do it because, not for any real reason, but just because like something might happen. And that's like
It
that thing
might.
that might
Yeah.
happen is like you're just establishing your career, your thing, whatever that is, but ultimately you're just like missing out on life around you because you're hoping that like this thing happens for you. And I don't know, like, you said we're stars regardless. And so, like, I think it's going to happen one way or another. I don't think we need, I can only speak for myself. I don't think I need to, like, beat a dead horse to, like, prove it, you know? I don't need to, like, I don't need to prove it at all. It just is and will continue to happen how it happens. And for me to, like, bite my fingernails off and, like, you know, clench my jaw and like anxiously wait. When's my next? Did that casting director get back to me? Agents, like, what's up with that last audition? It's just like, dude, like that lifestyle is not good. You had something to say?
I think that's no. I think that's exactly it. I think it's sort of you had mentioned it before. It's just we're not sort of in a way in all the acting classes and all the things. You're not taught. It's like how in school you're not taught how to manage your finances or you know what I mean, like be an actual person. I,
Mm-hmm.
I think there could be a little bit more sort of put towards what does a full life of an artist look like? What does it mean to have again a full life where this is what you're in pursuit of, but it does not then rob you of the other things. And I think there is a little trial and error where you go, okay, so I've missed a couple of things for the potential of this and this and that, and how am I feeling about that? Not so good. Okay, great. Like I gotta change. You know what I mean? There is something
Mm-hmm.
to like again the lifestyle. And I'll also say, at least for me, you know, it's only fun if it's fun. Anything is only fun if it's fun, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a joke or this, whatever. It's only fun if it's fun. So it's only fun if it's fun. If you're not having fun anymore, if a call doesn't get you going, if you're not like that, you know, it's like people always ask actors if their kids want to go to acting, and they always go, "Well, I told them if you can literally think of anything else that gets your rocks off, please
Mm-hmm.
do that, please."
Mm-hmm.
But if there's not, there's not. And if there's not, then the next point is okay, so how do we set up a life? How do we create an existence that is fulfilling and artistic? And, you know, for me, Burning Man was a big thing, right? I went to I go to Burning Man last year. I started a camp. Honey, I was making
Mm-hmm.
outfits. I was designing the this. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. Like, again, I'm still being the same thing. I'm being me. I'm being, you know, I mean, it's just in
Mm-hmm.
a different place, but I'm being creative. Like you do have to find whatever. I really love documentaries. I love history. I love the arts. I love, you know, fucking justice and whatever the fuck I like. Um, you do have to create a life that is grounded in not results. The life
Right.
has to be grounded in the pursuit, I think, in order to sustain. anything. And it's also worth noting, um, just for my own, that's something I tell myself when I cry myself to sleep at night. Um, like, you can't get worse as an actor with time, right? Right. Like, you're not, the more you experience life and things occur within your own, existence, or in the more life you witness of someone else, right? Like, you really only can get better. So, as I've been off the show for as long as I was on the show, right? And I go, okay, when's the next one? It's been 10 years since I got a big gig, and, da 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 da. Well, I hope the person that I've been becoming over the last 10 years, over the last, since I came into playing that part, I hope all of that is amounting to another part that I'll get to play at some point where I'll know this person, and it'll be as easy as for Z Nation. The whole bit was I read the sides twice. I literally read them twice. Or like I read it one time, got it, read it again, went in, auditioned, got a call back, got another call back, and then it was a straight to series thing.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Whether or not you get that, like, that role, which I truly believe you will, and like many, and they will continue to come. The role that you have been preparing for and getting good at having is the one that you're in currently, right? Like, is the one that you are like
you're
inside
live.
of at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's the real journey of an artist, right? To like win the award for that role, to like do that role the best, and to like impress people with that role. Uh, because it's really easy for us to be like, oh, I want to like step out of this role and get into all those other roles because like that makes me feel validated and celebrated and good and happy, and it makes sense. Like that's where I make the most sense. I feel the same thing, but like it seems like you have been for a long time like on this journey of like making this your best role you've ever kind of like stepped into. And I think that's really beautiful, and I think that's really uh, inspiring for not only just artists but everybody to keep in mind as they just like move through the world. Because I think the response to this show has been a lot of people that aren't artists at all being like, I thought I wasn't going to be able to really like dig into this because it's not like, it's like, you're talking to like actors and musicians and this and that, but like it's so relative. It's just, you're not alone. You're like, we're all struggling in some capacity. We're all going through it. And if we can figure out a way to like do exactly what you're doing right now, which is like making the role of you be the best role you've ever like put in front of the world, you got it. You won. And despite all of the obstacles that come in your way while you're trying to like figure out all of the accessory roles that will make that role feel more wholesome, it's like, if they never come again, which they will, but if they don't, it's all good. Because this thing is rad. And this, like, human being that lives inside this vessel is, like, fucking epic and is a star and is worth everything that we expect it to be worth. And yeah, I mean, I think you have reminded me of that, and I hope if like I can ever like reciprocate that favor back to you, to let you know that like um that it's like sent right back to you, because like I see you, I hear you, and like I totally believe in everything that you represent as a person, and like just feel your like star constantly rising despite anything that happens. Like you are that thing already and will continue to be that thing. And it's just a beautiful revelation to have, like as a friend and as a peer. Um, and it's something that like I want to be able to tap into myself and do more of for
You're
me.
doing it. You're doing it,
Yeah, through these
amigos. Yeah,
conversations
it's right
for
back
sure.
at you.
Yeah, I mean these
Yeah.
this podcast is all about that. You know, it's all about just like selfishly trying to figure out like, am I alone in feeling this way, or are we kind of
Is it
all
just
feeling this
me?
way? And everybody
I'll
is.
tell you what. s- s- I've heard incredibly successful people like literally say this to my face, and then I've also seen people talk about it in random interviews and stuff. Literally, the most successful person I know was like, "Well, at the end of every gig, I'm like, well, probably never going to work again. You, you're yeah, probably never going to work again." Like, and you know what I mean? I'm always, oh my God, I'm never going to work again. And so that was one of the things that I went, hey, wait a minute. Maybe this isn't everybody. Maybe this isn't everybody thing where you're just like, I'm never going to work again. And you might not. I don't know. But like oftentimes you do. More often than not, something else comes along. And I think there's one more thing of note here that we're just kind of talking about. There's a Marianne Williamson quote, real famous, right? Where the gist of it is, you ask yourself, who am I to be a star, to be brilliant, to be this, to be that? Who are you not?
Hmm. Yeah.
And however you define God, you are a child of God. Like there's gravity, there's an earth, things are spinning. You're here, man. Oceans, whales, you like, huh? Who are
Yeah.
you not? And I think that's where, because I never go, I don't watch TV and go, man, these bozos, I'm better than them. But I go, well, I could do that. I'm not saying I'm better than that, but I can do
Yeah.
that. Like, if that's what we're doing, like, I got that.
Yeah.
So at some point, right where that, like, the you're a piece of shit voice, love her. Lose some weight, love her. Um, that's all that it's just if I could just be skinny like them or swole like them, whatever the fuck.
Right.
That's what it is. The only like response to that voice is, well, who are you to be? Who am I not? Why
Exactly.
not me?
Right.
Especially if I know that I'm going to work hard, if I know that I'm passionate about this, that I know that I'm here to like give it like I'm an asset. I'm busting my ass here, right? I don't come in here thinking that I'm hot shit or I deserve any of this. Or just like I know that the best actor that this best actor knows is somewhere in Seattle, and so if I got the opportunity, oh my God, who am I not? Or who am I? At least what I'm hearing now is like, who am I not to give it my all? Who am I not to at least be in the running towards becoming America's Next Top Model? Like,
Yeah. You already have all of the resources to like do it for you know all of the things that are in your control. You're capable of working towards making real and in manifesting. So like the missing part is just believing that like it will do what it's doing. It will work
and
out.
it's showing
It
up.
is working out.
I
Yeah.
remember one day driving down, I don't know, some Sunset Gower or something. I was blonde for many years of my life, and some cute little blonde thing is bopping down the street with her sides, and I was like, every year somebody comes to this town for the first time. I've been here since 2000, but don't nobody need to know that. Every year somebody comes here and starts anew. And if
Hmm.
and in that moment I was just like, if I just don't leave. Like if I just don't leave this town and I keep sending them some new pictures, and I keep doing a little something, and I keep popping up like, hey, 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 one of these days, man, I can be like, oh my God, this bitch, Jesus, God, just get a TV show, leave me alone. Like, if you
Yeah.
just don't leave.
Yeah. They're gonna be like, shit, she's still around. God, just give it to
Still
her.
around. Just so you know, I just put something on tape for the casting director who cast me in Lizzie McGuire. Shout out to
Wow.
Robin Lippin. I
Well,
saw it, I was like, oh, I'm putting this on tape just so she knows I'm still in this town.
that's great.
You know? And I go,
Yeah.
and she's still in this town, and I'm still in this town, and they're, you know what I mean? UDK is
Yeah.
still casting. Da 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 is still casting. Like we are still all just here.
Still here.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
It's
There was
yeah. I mean, it's a really cool thing to reflect on when you can just be like, I'm still here. Like, I haven't left. I'm still going. And,
and there's
talking
that
about,
in it.
like, hypothetically talking about going to Thailand and stuff, great. Like, if that's what you want to do, great. Like, doesn't mean you've left. You're still here. You're still, like, very much, and you're not going anywhere. You can't. It sounds like you can't.
That's the
You're
thing, is
addicted.
I
You're
just
obsessed.
can't.
And
I'm addicted. It's
that's
tough.
fine. And that's fine. That's good. You have to be. You can't do it unless you are, I don't think. Can you do it like in different ways that are like healthier and more like serving towards your like quality of life? Maybe, but like whatever, you're figuring that out. I'm figuring that out, but you're still here, and like that in and of itself is something to fucking celebrate and to be like, oh my god, I never stuck with anything until I got into acting. I had never done a fucking. I couldn't get a fucking C minus in high school to save my life. I was so lame at I mean, I was like a fun guy. I like to have parties. I like to like shotgun beers and fucking like, like make out with
Love
fucking babes. But like, other than that, I was just like, I didn't care about anything. And it's like obvious that I've been here this long with this like I'm dedicated. I've never been dedicated to something. I didn't even know what dedication looked like. And now I do, and I'm really thankful. It makes me wish I would have played sports growing up because like I did, but I just like didn't care, right? Again, back to the same thing. Because I could have like learned some like the qualities of what being dedicated like to something really meant. And I didn't learn that until I stepped into acting, until it worked for me, until I like started booking stuff and I was like, oh, this feels great. I like this. And that's what kept me going. And I'm grateful, like, despite the ego that kept me in the game, it kept me in the game. And now I can reflect back and be like, okay, it's not so much about the ego. Maybe it is. Maybe the ego still is driving force in all of this. But like, regardless, there's so many more variables to this equation that make it worth staying put and staying in this. And I'm really grateful for that. And it's people like you that make it worth that for me. And it's people like the people that listen to this pod and then will like send me a message being like, hey, that really helped, me. That keep me continue, like it's this whole cycle, like this whole circle event, right? Of just like people supporting each other and helping each other and reminding each other that like you're not alone. I hear you. I see you. You're fucking doing great, dude. You're really doing spectacular work. I don't care that I haven't seen you on TV this year. That doesn't my one of my friends, a little kid that I used to go see at the children's hospital when he was like 5 years old, is now like 18. And he had a conversation with
shout
me on
out.
the phone. Shout out Hunter Schroeder. He's the best. He's totally in remission, totally cancer free, like incredible. He was terminally ill with leukemia at the age of 5. We made this really beautiful friendship, and he went to his prom this last like year, and I was chatting with him about it, and it was amazing. It was like this really incredible thing, and I was just kind of like reflecting back on like our relationship and how inspiring his whole story has been to like who I have become as a person, and I was kind of getting down on myself about like, yeah, I haven't done this. I haven't, like, this hasn't happened. I'm auditioning, but I'm not getting anything. And auditions are slowing down, and the strike and the pandemic and on and on. And he was just like, hey man, I just want you to know that if you never do anything else ever again in your life professionally, I'm not going to love you any less. And yeah, I just lost it and was just like, whoa, that's crazy. And I will say the same thing back to you. Like, you know, not because like that's what's going to happen, but it's just like the importance of hearing that is really uh, necessary. And I think like knowing that there are people in your world that are like, oh, dude, it's not your acting that I like you because of. It's not because you're on TV. It's not because you're like, getting to meet celebrities. It's not because you, and literally any of that. It's because of who you are. And I'm just like, what's crazy is that I'm like, why did it take me having to hear him say that to like believe that?
Well, there's a lot of voices, man. In a way,
Yeah.
there's a lot of voices that are telling you that, like, you matter if you do this or that, and if you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
If you haven't done that, you haven't. So that's the power of, it's interesting because humans is all that there is, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just humans on this earth. You're either loving them, or you're working with them, or you're marrying them, or you're having kids, or you're related to them, or you're fighting with them, or you want something from them. Like, at the end of the day, everything we do is so that we can have those precious moments with our people, and we can, what I mean, we can feel alive, we can feel connected, and so on and so forth. So there's just something to, I think, if we forget in our fast-paced, results-oriented, capitalist world, like, before any and all of that, humanity had made it up to this point, to 100 years ago when we started making TV and stuff, and film. Just humans, like, just humans and humans caring about each other and wanting to do things together. Like, that has literally driven humanity. So, um, and the role and the work of the artist, right? Ethan Hawke talks a lot about this, and especially during the pandemic, he's like, we just saw
Mm-hmm.
how important art is. Because when
Mm-hmm.
everything got taken away, what the fuck did, like, you literally, when you couldn't be with your people, you had one thing left. You're watching your shows, you're reading your books, you're listening to, like, you're making your art.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, just as a all around sort of summary statement, like, I think there's something to one, acknowledging the size of your dream and being like, fucking A, good on you for
Mm-hmm.
dreaming the dream, for daring, for just being like, this is on my heart, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna see how far I can take this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a big thing to have on your heart, and especially if it involves other people, and like, I'm dreaming dreams for other people. Like, that's a big dream. And hey, man, that's not who you are. That's not the total sum of who you are. And if you don't film another minute of television, or make another dollar, or make another earring, or another painting, or another short film, I don't know. Like, you have worth and value that is so far outside of that.
Yeah.
And in a beautiful sort of circle of life, it's the artist who will remind you of that. Okay, it's pretty good. It's pretty
It's the best. Damn. Well, I am infinitely proud of you as a person, and um, again, truly a product of your early words to me now. Like what you see me as here in front of you. is like a product of you helping, guiding, and like inspiring me to this place back then. Um, and yes, like try our best to connect to that narrative of like, if you don't ever work a day in your life again, like you're going to be okay. You're going to work many days in your life. Like, I have no question in my mind that you're not going to get exactly to where you want to be. Like, you just emanate stardom, and like what that means beyond like the like celebrity idea, and like kind of like the nucleus of that thing. Like, you possess all of the skills, all of the qualities, all of the just the pieces that make you who you are. And I'm so thankful to have met you when I did, and to like receive you in that moment. Like, I think it was just like a week, but it was like a really important week, um, that I've held on to ever since. And I will continue to hold on to. And I just hope that at some point I can like pay it forward and reciprocate back to you in a way that you feel like as inspired and like motivated and moved by something I'm able to do for you as I was from you. Because
Well,
you're
honey, you
fucking
did it. You go ahead and you can pat yourself on the back right goddamn now. Because at the end of this, I'm going to sit here for just a couple of breaths and be like, keep on
yeah,
keeping on, girl. Keep on keeping on. Don't give up. You can't give up yet
nah,
because
you
he
won't.
said so. So
You
it's so
won't,
funny, right?
regardless.
Because you have like a I can't give up because she said so, and I have a I can't
Yeah.
give up because he
But that's
said
what
so.
this is all about. It's all
So
about just like,
true,
fucking advocating
true.
for your artists, man. We don't do it enough. We're like, oh my God, my fucking friend just got an audition. I should have got that audition. And you compare and you're just like, oh man, I'm like, fuck, fuck, fuck. It's just like, why don't we just like get so pumped for each other and like just celebrate each other's victories more?
It's the only way. It's the only way. I got one. I got two. Okay, two last little tidbits, and then I gotta
Go
go. I
for
really
it.
gotta go.
Yeah, okay, cool.
One, it's that something a girlfriend of mine. I have a few actor friends of mine, right, who are just like, come on, come on. Somebody gets a call back. Somebody gets this, and we just always go, one for the home team, one for the home team, man. Like
Yeah.
I low key maybe get more excited. Like I obviously get really excited if I book something. Excuse me, I book something. I am equally as excited when somebody books something. The level, in a way that I even go like, baby, it's not your win. Yes, it is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I was right about them being a star, which means I'm right about me being a star, which means I'm right about it
Mm,
can happen at any time, which means I'm right about don't you dare leave. And like genuinely, if the key into that one, if someone is struggling with that, I heard once an explanation of jealousy or envy that was so powerful that it was like you really got to do the work to distinguish, are you like jealous and envious, or are you inspired? Because you never find yourself, I at least don't, jealous of something that I don't, that is not in my line, right? I love
mhm.
money more than anything. Baby, I'm not out here jealous of stockbrokers.
Yeah, right. For sure.
I've never, not one time, looked at a basketball player and gone like, oh.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? That's not, because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
not me.
yeah.
But I will see somebody working and I'll feel something. And it's not that I don't want her to have it. I want mine. I don't want, you know what I mean? Me winning does not mean somebody else losing. And
Hmm.
even though only one person can play a part at a time, right? So the idea is like, oh, okay, well, in order for me to get the part, that means somebody, all these other people don't. But only one person can play a part at a time. Your part, and if you just keep showing up, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep showing up, like you'll go where you're supposed to go. I've never gotten a part that was somebody else's, and I
Yeah.
firmly do not. I have not seen even stuff that I read for that I wanted. When I see who they cast, I go, oh yeah, no, no. Oh, that's what we were doing. Oh no, no, that wasn't me. That's okay. So just if you ever notice kind of that, because I think at some point I like maybe felt something and I was like, oh, what is this? This is gross. I don't want that. And then that explanation of it, I really illuminated something for me where I was like, yeah, I've never been envious of something that was not actually like in my path and
Yeah,
for me.
that's
And yeah,
that's
again, I never
true.
want anyone to not have it. I just really go, no, I want that. Where's mine? Oh, let me go do
Mm,
something. Ta-da!
I agree.
Man,
Love
thank you
you.
so much.
Of
Love you
course. Yeah.
too, dog.
Thanks
Keep
for
at
being
it.
here.
Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare quit.
You,
Life, don't you
you,
dare quit. Your art in whatever capacity. Just in whatever capacity, man.
neither of us will, even if we want to. I think
Even
that's
if
what
we wanted to.
is pretty
Even if
clear.
we
So,
wanted to.
what a star! What a star, indeed. Anastasia, thank you for being on the podcast. What a sweetheart. I love her. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I am so grateful that we are trucking along, making this thing happen, doing the damn thing. If you want to support this podcast, you know what to do. You know, don't you? Subscribe, like, share, comment, write a review, all of these things. There's so many little things to do. And sometimes, when I ask, I'm like, well, I don't do that for other podcasts. And so, yeah, I guess I really don't like expect you to do it either. But I don't know, when you're making it, you're like, fuck, man, maybe I should start doing that for other podcasts. So maybe I should put my money where my mouth is. Maybe I should start walking the walk. It's not totally untrue. I do support a handful of different people that I really admire and like, and not even that they need the support at this point, but I do. And so check out my Patreon page, guys. Patreon.com/the precipice of delusion. It'll be in the show notes here at the bottom as well. And on my link in the bio in my Instagram page. You can check out the Patreon page. I'm putting up exclusive content. My movies up there. I Am Erica. A couple of the movies that Alan Stone and I made with Teddy Swims and Stephen Day, and Zach Clark, and Tommy Cantillon, and all those guys is up behind that paywall. I'm putting up some scripts. I'm putting up some exclusive podcasts. I am going to start doing puppet shows here very soon, which is going to be wild, and it's just going to be a fun time. $5. That's it. $5. You can do that, can't you? If you do, I will be very grateful, and I will make sure to reciprocate the love. But yeah, guys, go check that out. As always, thank you for being here. I love you very much. Until next week, my friends. And ta-ta! Now that's what I'm talking about.